Welcome to Spreading the Floor with your hosts, Jacob Cooperman and Nigel Petty Fernandez. Your go-to podcast for basketball's forecast.
Spreading the Floor, episode 36. Unfortunately, we can't be in the booth today. We're back on Zoom, but Friday's episode, or I should say Saturday's episode, that always messes me up, will be back in the booth at Iona, barring everything going according to plan, or depending on everything going according to plan. It should. So in that eventuality, we will be back in the booth. It's looking like a sure thing. So be excited for that. But unfortunately for this episode, we do have to be over Zoom. Yeah, man, we got a really packed episode. We left some of the stuff from Monday's episode for this one. Part of the part of the good part of being, having 2 episodes per week is you can really just stretch the content out instead of doing a 2-hour long podcast talking about everything. Correct. You have some stuff left over. You have some new news, which I know you know what I'm talking about, Nigel, you being a Knicks fan, which we can get into first. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm liking this new formula, recording earlier, 2 episodes a week. It's definitely it's taking getting used to, but besides that, it's not terrible. It's not, the workload hasn't been anything really. I thought it would be a lot harder personally. Like, I didn't know going in if we were going to have 2 episodes a week, if that was going to like break my back in terms of the workload or anything with school. But so far, I mean, I'll see what happens when I edit tonight, but it hasn't been that terrible.
For real.
Yeah. So, where we want to start? We want to start, you know what? Honestly, because you're a Knicks fan, man, let's start with Derrick Rose to the Knicks. Obviously, the trade went down with Detroit. Detroit got Dennis Smith Jr. and a 2021 second-round pick, of course, for Derrick Rose. Tom Thibodeau is the head coach of the Knicks, and he is one loyal. I'm not going to say that on air because I'm trying to tone down the curses, but he is a loyal man, that Tom Thibodeau, to Derrick Rose. Nige, being that you are the honorary Knicks fan of this podcast, you take it ahead and you go first, buddy. I got my own takes, but I definitely want to hear yours.
I'm interested in what you have to say because I know you like, basketball analysis, but what I will say is that I saw a lot of people hating on this trade. First of all, yeah, the Knicks already had Derrick Rose at one point. That was actually, I went to a Derrick Rose Knicks game back in the days when we could go to games and stuff. And I have pictures of him like shooting free throws. I don't know, whatever, off subject. I like the trade. I thought it was good. Derrick Jones Jr. was kind of bad on the Knicks. Like Derrick Jones Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. did not perform on the Knicks. And I think everyone is agreement about that. I think he was better on the Mavericks, right? That's where he was
100%.
before.
Yeah.
And I was so excited when he got him because I actually really like Dennis Smith Jr., but he came to the Knicks and I was just like, what the hell is this? So it's like, and he's good. He's young. So he's worth enough in the trading world. And I hope that he does go to Detroit and he has a good career. But I think that getting Derrick Rose back on the Knicks is actually a good thing. Because I think the first time he was there, he did underperform a little bit. He had his injuries, as Derrick Rose tends to do. The problem was that he didn't really want to be in the Knicks, but I think that he's more content with it this time. The Knicks need a point guard. We've talked about that before. I think that he's going to fit into the system well, especially with Tom Thibodeau, right? I think that he's going to fit into the system better. I think they're going to come up with some good stuff, and I think that the potential starting lineup might be borderline playoffs. Well, if I dare say.
Nigel, you can dare say, all right? Because this Knicks starting lineup was competitive before. And actually, we talk about their lack at the beginning of the season, right? They were everyone was wondering, because towards the let's just say the 3, 4, and 5 positions, the Knicks are pretty decent. But beforehand, everyone was questioning that point guard and maybe even the shooting guard position. Emmanuel Quickley since then has been lighting the league ablaze.
Yeah,
one of my personal favorite rookies to watch.
Right.
So I know you said Derrick Rose going there, right, might stir up maybe a little bit of controversy, or you didn't say that, but I want to go ahead and put that perspective out there. does Derrick Rose get the start?
Yeah.
I'd say
What the
yeah,
hell? Yeah, 100%.
but I could also see a reality in which Emmanuel Quickly could get that start realistically, because before Emmanuel Quickly, he's starting to make waves. I think that they were going to move towards him potentially getting the nod at the one spot. But I agree with you, man. I absolutely love this move for Derrick Rose, and I think also for Dennis Smith Jr. because the fact that he really was playing well on the Mavs shows me that maybe it's not the caliber of him as a player, but more so where he's situated. He could be a systemic player. And I say that that's not really a term, but when I say that, I mean a guy that can fit into certain systems better than he can other systems. There are players that just fit into any system due to their talent, whatever it might be. I think Dennis Smith Jr. might just be a guy where he needs a team around him that can facilitate his needs. There are plenty of players like that in the league. I saw someone making they put a take out there. They said that Kyle Kuzma would drop 20 to 25 points per game on the Pistons, which it's food for thought, but there are guys like that in the league that you could either really know without a shadow of a doubt that could occur, or they could be put in that conversation. I just think Dennis Smith Jr. is one of those guys. If I'm remembering correctly, there was a little bit of controversy with him not getting starting time. That was him, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So, listen, there's a system there. Maybe he didn't quite fit into it, but listen, they gave him away to Detroit. Maybe Detroit will do something with him. Detroit gets a second-round pick, and the Knicks again get Derrick Rose. They have that Derrick Rose, Tom Thibodeau connection. It strengthens, the link at point guard, and it makes this potential starting five. I agree, Nigel. Maybe an eighth seed. I think it's on the cusp of a playoff team. I still want to see how the Knicks perform, because that take for me could change easily,
Right.
depending on how the Knicks do as the season progresses. Because I feel like for the entire season, everyone's been looking at this Knicks team saying, okay, when are they going to return to being the Knicks? When are they going to return? When are they going to go back to old Knicks form of the last 5 years, even longer?
More, since like 2013.
So everyone's looking at this team saying, when are we going to see the same old Knicks again? When are we going to see them play discombobulated, ugly, disenfranchised basketball? And they haven't been doing that. They've been playing gorgeous basketball. Defensively, they've really blossomed. Offensively, Julius Randle has been leading that team. Might I add that I'm Mitchell Robinson. There you go. Mitchell Robinson. He's been leading the defensive front on that team. Tom Thibodeau, a great coach, a great head coach in his own right as well. So I think for this Knicks team, everything is starting to fall into place, and going out and acquiring Derrick Rose, I don't mind it at all, even though he's kind of obviously in the twilight of his career. I still think it's a great move, because the guy, same with Blake Griffin, maybe it's something to do with the Detroit Pistons. He's really kind of refined his game a little bit. And we've seen flashes of the old Derrick Rose. And if you get the old Derrick Rose who gives you 40, 50, maybe, 30, I'll say more realistically like 30, 40, maybe even 20, that's still a great addition to that Knicks team, And again, you said playoff team. I could see it, but I definitely want to slam on the brakes until we get further, or maybe even I want to slam on the brakes until we can really see what this Knicks team does with Derrick Rose, because I know Tom Thibodeau is going to know how to use him. That's not.
Absolutely. And I also think that this trade really just puts the Knicks square dead in the middle in the East as far as like starting lineups go. But even if he doesn't come out and score 25 a night, 20 a night, he doesn't need to do that as long as he complements, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, which he will do perfectly because he knows how to throw lobs like the rest of them. And he's been pretty healthy. I don't want to jinx it because last time Derrick Rose was on the Knicks, he wasn't very healthy, but He's been pretty consistent. He's been pretty healthy. He's really been taking to that like true point guard, form that is just beautiful basketball. He knows the game, and that's really what it comes down to. I think he's going to put the Knicks in a better position to win. Whether that's what the Knicks want right now, that's a totally different subject. That's for another time. However, if we're looking to win right now, I think that this trade puts the Knicks in the best possible position. And I do believe I'll put faith on it. I'll say that they make at least the 8th seed. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what it's looking like.
They're at the 8th seed right now. They're 11-14. So I could definitely see them maybe squeaking into the playoffs. I'm just saying I definitely also want to get a feel, like I said, for Derrick Rose at the point guard position. I also think he brings just, obviously for a guy that's been in the league for so long and has learned so many lessons, has played on that Bulls team that was so talented. I mean, he's going to bring a wealth of knowledge. As you said, RJ will learn under him. Everyone, Emmanuel Quickly's going to learn. I mean, all of those guys, I'm sure, because Derrick Rose is very well respected, as he should be amongst community, media, other players. He's gonna. I already know that all the listen, Mitchell Robinson, RJ, Manuel, Julius Randle, they're all gonna be going to him for personal advice, and that's gonna make everyone on the team just immeasurably better. So, just a great deal. You said that people were hating on it. I've seen a little bit of that too, and I can't understand why, for the life of me.
It's. I get it, why the Knicks always going after these older players that don't really have much left in the tank. There was a certain point that the Knicks, they have a bad habit, especially in the mid 2010s, like 2015, 2016, of picking up these older players that aren't going to do much, like Derrick Rose. That's when that trade was made. And everyone's just like, why would you do that? Why are we not focusing, and so they went for an older pick. They went for a more veteran presence, even though that they have Quickly already in the floor. And I could see both sides of it, especially because there is a spacing problem in New York. Specifically, they don't spread the floor that well, which is something we know is very important. So he's not a three-point specialist. He's not a three-point shooter by any means. He can make them, but
he's definitely more of a slasher.
Yeah, the thing is that I feel like people are forgetting is that we're not picking up Derrick Rose to shoot threes and stuff and add that to the team. We're picking up Derrick Rose to really just bring a type of culture to the city. We want something. We want the one thing. New York is missing a lot of things that makes them a great team. But one of the things is that it doesn't really have much of an identity. New York's identity is losing. And now that we are losing, but now that we're definitely starting to pick up more wins in the season, where's the identity at? Are we talking about small ball? Are we talking about shooting threes? Are we talking about this? Are we talking about that? I think Derrick Rose is going to do great things for the culture of the team. He's going to kind of define what type of basketball they play, and I think ultimately that's going to end up being just a really pass first, awesome move the ball around, 3-3-3 type of 3-point shot. If you don't have it, open man. And I think that's what the type of culture they were going for. And I think that's the type of culture you're going to get with Derrick Rose.
Well, I think a lot of NBA fans talking about, I just want to go back to the hate that this trade is received. A lot of guys in, let's just say, even like the media, I always talk about the media and the fans, but the media and the fans, they tend to view certain trades one-dimensionally.
Right.
And that's the worst thing you can do. They look at a player simply for the addition of how much they can put up on the board, the tangibles, right?
Right.
You got to look at this, like you said, as a culture shift. As Derrick Rose, he doesn't have a lot left in the tank, but what he can offer through experience, through leadership, through giving this team an identity is invaluable.
Just court vision, man,
Court vision. And they're getting rid of Dennis Smith Jr., and like I said, I don't think he's a bad player, but he had to go.
Yeah.
With a 2021 second-round pick, that's not a bad deal for the bevy of just pure experience that this team is going to have heaped upon them. With especially, and you talk about timing, this team needed a guy like Derrick Rose at this time, I think.
I agree.
With them overachieving the way they've been overachieving, now they just need guidance because their talent is still raw. Still raw. It's working. It's raw. You need a guy like Derrick Rose in there to be like, I know. I said the raw word, okay?
Oh.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Nigel. But their talent is raw, but they need a guy to help them focus that in. And I think Derrick Rose can be that guy, especially with the kind of switch he's made to a more passive true point guard.
I agree. And I also think that a lot of people are only thinking, because it's a big move for the Knicks. The Knicks have been in the news lately, as they should be, because they're the New York Knicks, Madison Square Garden. But I think it worked. The deal works out for everyone. What was he doing in Detroit? What I'm saying? Was he really contributing a lot to that team, or would they rather get rid of him and get someone younger that they can either help grow or pass up for more trade value in the future? I think that works out for Detroit in every way. And I also believe that it works out for Derrick Rose, because why would he want to spend, the last, let's say he has 4 years left in the league, 5 years left in the league, maybe 6. So why would Derrick Rose want to spend his last years on a losing team? Like, maybe they can go and make something. Maybe he'll make the playoffs a couple more times before he retires. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that'd be awesome. I'd love to see Derrick Rose retire in New York. Dare I even say I'd love to see his freaking number in the, you know what I'm saying? That'd be super sick. And for that reason, I just think this deal works out for everyone, including the Knicks, and that's really what's important. So,
dude, when all of these guys retire, Carmelo, Derrick Rose, let's just say all of their let's hypothetically their jerseys get raised in the rafters at MSG. That's going to be a crazy stretch of rafter,
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be crazy. Derrick Rose's, and I'm saying hypothetically, Derrick Rose's jersey and then Carmelo's. I mean, wow.
Yeah. Right next to Willis Reed.
Yeah.
And,
all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, the Mecca has not gotten the respect, I think, because of the team that plays in it. Unfortunately, a lot of guys don't want to play there.
Yeah.
And, no, because, we remember that MSG used to be a big draw for guys. And now it's because of the Knicks, unfortunately, and some bad management, it's become, there's been dirt tossed on its name. But I think it's time now for the Knicks to get theirs and for MSG to rightfully get the respect. And I think, you know what? MSG is a building. It gets the respect it deserves. But it's time, like I said, for this ugly period of Knicks basketball to end. And that's something I said at the beginning of the season. We're going to chalk that up as a cook-up coop W, because I said the Knicks would be really, really good. Not really, really good this year, but I said the Knicks would be a lot more competitive this year. So we're going to chalk that up as a dub for cook-up coop.
I'll give that to you.
Put it up on the wall back there.
I'll give that to you, especially because, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. Anyone who knows me knows that I've been a diehard Knicks fan pretty much my entire life,
Yeah.
But even I've been and I'll never be anything but a Knicks fan, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I've even doubted them. Like, I put a bet against them and I lost. I put them in one of my parlays against the Trailblazers, and they lost. And I was just like, I don't know because I lost the bet, but I was happy that the Knicks won, right? So it's kind of like bittersweet.
Weird bittersweet feeling.
Yeah, but no, in the future, I'm definitely not going to count them out, because they will definitely come out and surprise me. As much of a Knicks fan as I am, as much as I want to see them do good, they have been coming out performing this year. So,
yeah, man, I think Knicks fans, I think Knicks fans. That's a proper way to say that. I think Knicks fans are just. I think you guys are conditioned to be negative all the time.
Yeah.
Just because of the years of, I'm a Mets fan, so I understand that feeling where nothing can be good, nothing can be, until now, of course, we got new management and we're making big moves in free agency. But that's, again, we don't run a baseball podcast, we run a basketball podcast. But I totally get where you're coming from and where you were coming from, because I think we talked about it on the show and I said the Knicks will be competitive, and you're like, no shot. I don't hold that against you. It's just. You've been with this team so long. You've been through so much, so many war scars. And it'd be tough for me if I were a Knicks fan. I'm an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. So right now I'm kind of just bored. Luckily for us, we have 18 first-round draft picks. So
yeah, that's going to be sick.
But I almost can understand where you're coming from. But I definitely think that I feel like from here, the only way to go for this Knicks team is up.
Yeah, well, I said that they were going to be good I said give it 2 to 3 years, maybe even 4 years. But I didn't see them doing this well this season, definitely, and I'll definitely chalk that up in the W column for you. That was something that you really had some good insight on that. RJ Barrett's taking great strides. The Knicks, we've just been so unlucky for so long, but it actually seems like our luck is starting to come around this year. Quickly just turned out really good. Mitchell Robinson, what a steal. I mean, arguably will be the best player on the Knicks in a few years. I'm saying Julius Randle came out and just started balling out. A lot of stuff that we just didn't expect to happen happened. A lot of stuff that probably wouldn't have happened in any other universe happen in ours. So I don't know. It's starting to look up for us Knicks fans. It's been a hard decade though.
Yeah, I also really respect what Julius Randle has done because, while a lot of guys wouldn't know, as you said, what can be attributed to him balling out this season, if anyone, and this is something I figured out about recently, he took the time. I think it was Tom Thibodeau that said, listen, man, like, I want you to be the scoring leader on this team. So he issued Julius Randle a challenge. He said, come back in way better shape, come back ready to ball. And that's exactly what he did. So he spent the entire offseason in the gym, really worked on his game. And again, he's on the Knicks, so nobody's really talking about it. But that's exactly what he did. I got to give credit to Julius Randle where credit is due. I can always respect when a guy takes a jump. I think we were talking about MIP last episode. We completely forgot him.
Yeah.
He's a dark horse candidate,
Yeah, I agree.
So I got to tip the cap to Julius Randle, man. He's really been he's been balling out, and it's fun because I love watching him in the mid-range. I feel like that's where his bread and butter is. When he breaks guys down in the mid-range, it gives me like AI and like Kobe type vibes. You know what I'm talking about? Where they would use to, not on the same skill level, but in just terms of optics and guys now probably passing up the mid-range in favor of the three, the way he works, let's just say from the elbow or from a little bit out from the elbow is just poetry in motion.
Absolutely.
The same thing as the shimmy KD fadeaway.
Yeah.
It's poetry. It's fun to watch. But So big shout out to Julius Randle. I hope he gets selected for the All-Star game. It would be fun. I'm not sure if there have been a lot of Knicks in past years in the All-Star game. I feel like there haven't.
Carmelo.
Carmelo.
Every year that he was on the Knicks, he was in the All-Star game.
But I'm saying like recent times. I guess recent times could be
4 years ago.
4 years ago could be recent times.
No, but I understand what you're saying, and it has been a while since we had. I voted for Julius Randle. That's all I know.
Yeah,
is that I put my vote in for Julius Randle, and you should too. Not you, to everybody in general.
I will.
Pointing towards the camera. No, I definitely think Julius Randle should be an All-Star. That'd be so sick. I think he deserves it. And I didn't even think about Julius Randle for MIP, but now that you mention it, yeah, why not? That'd be sick.
Talk about a guy, in the same way that the MVP is the best player on the best team, MIP could be the guy that's made the best strides on a team that's made the best strides.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes sense if you think about it.
Do you attribute the Knicks' success to Julius Randle?
Like I said, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, they all blossomed. Tom Thibodeau, hell of a coach, defensively minded, but just one of the best in the game. Yeah, man, I think it's like the perfect storm coming together all at once.
I agree.
That's why I said, in the same way that I have so much respect for what the Knicks have done this year, you guys got lucky in a sense. And I say that with no hatred in my heart. I just say, I say that to say you guys got a talented group and they all just came together at the same time. And then Julius Randle decided that he wanted to take his game to the next level. Mitchell Robinson always has been progressing. I mean, we knew he was special in years past. RJ Barrett, we always thought had the potential to be special. He was projected to go above Zion at one point. You've said that on the show before. I think that's something a lot of people forget. But yeah, I think it's just the perfect storm. That's me though. Yeah.
Well, I think Julius Randle fits in so perfectly because RJ, more of a slasher, not much of a shot creator. So, and I think that a lot of people expected him to come out and create his own shots, which is something that it's just not in his arsenal right now, which is fine. He needs more time to develop that. But it's definitely taken a lot of slack off or a lot of pressure off of his shoulders. Julius Randle going in there and being able to create his own shots. So now RJ can really just focus on his own game,
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, like I said, it's just they're forming also a system. So they got lucky.
Yes.
But now they're taking that luck and they're using it to their advantage. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're taking the best of what they've gotten and they're making lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah. And speaking of rookies, you want to talk about Lamelo Ball a little bit?
Yeah, man. Yeah, all right, listen, I know you are very high on him for rookie of the year. I still think it's got to go to Wiseman, but he's definitely been improving. He dropped 35 the other
Something
night.
crazy. In his first start.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. No, his first start, he dropped, I want to say it was 27.
Man, I don't get how you don't see Lamelo Ball as the rookie of the year. I don't get that.
I
I've
could see
seen
him
James
as rookie of the
Wiseman.
year.
I've seen James Wiseman play. He's very good. He's very talented. He's doing great things for the Warriors. But oh my God, Lamelo Ball. He's the youngest to ever record a triple double.
And he
Does
also
that
has the
mean
media hype
nothing?
around him. No, it means
Yeah.
something. I said that means something. I just also think that if you look back chronologically, I'm not married to the idea of James Wiseman, but
Yeah.
I do think that he has played better overall than LaMelo Ball. It goes back to what I talked to. LaMelo Ball out of the gate was struggling. He's just now getting his stride, and James Wiseman, in my personal opinion, has had his stride since the beginning.
It's
And
a
the
marathon,
first game,
baby.
it's yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I want to see more, but at the same time, you go back and at the start of the marathon, the person that had the better start was James Wiseman. He had some difficulties in his first game with the pacing, as all rookies do. But after that, he's been, and I do definitely think it's because he's under Steve Kerr and he's getting constant coaching from Draymond Green. You know, I just think that maybe later in the season could be neck and neck, but something tells me it's James Wiseman, man.
If the season ends right now, you have James Wiseman winning. The season ends today.
Yeah, yeah. Because get this, I know that he can. I know Lamelo can put up big numbers, but those are stats to me. Like going off of the eye test, I just wouldn't give him rookie. He doesn't. I'm going to sound like such a hater right now. He doesn't really do it for me if you give him the eye test.
No, my
James Wiseman
God.
has adjusted so much better to the league. I'm telling you, man. And I know that he's LaMelo Ball, and I know we always talk about him, and the media blows him up. But I think that's what influences a lot of people. I'd be very, and you know what? Honestly, if we're talking about it, the reason why I could see LaMelo getting that is because the media is giving him so much attention.
Yeah, but the person who deserves it usually ends up getting it. Um, if we
I
look
mean,
back
you've seen
to
Zion this year. He's going crazy. He's not getting nearly the media attention, nearly as much media attention as LaMelo is. And I understand that. Listen, I get LaMelo's the NBA's new toy. You know, he does flashy passes. He's been getting accustomed from deep, but you know, I think some guys are going to get more obviously media attention than others, and that's fine. But for me, that's not all that goes into, and I could be bugging it right now. I could be bugging, but for me, that's not what I want to look for when I look at rookie of the year.
I see where you're coming from, and I definitely respect your opinion. I think you definitely know more about James Wiseman than I do. But I mean, LaMelo and Miles Bridges.
Oh, they're a fun tandem to watch for
I mean,
sure.
we're talking about just one of the most exciting tandems in the league. You know, including all the teams, not even just rookies. Um, it's just ridiculous the stuff that he's been doing. I've been watching him play, and every time, like, how does he keep getting better? How does he keep doing this?
I will give him credit where credit is due. He has been getting better. I'm not saying he hasn't.
He's been balling out, man.
Yeah,
He's been going crazy.
I don't, because I say this not to come off as a LaMelo hater. I say this because I understand he has been getting better. But James Wiseman, he's been consistent from the start. But go ahead, my fault. I mean to.
No, dude, you're not cutting me off at all. I think it's just like I think James Wiseman has been more consistent, but I feel like LaMelo has already surpassed him in just skill level. It's just that, like his performance so far. I think at first James, if the NBA season was only 2 weeks long this year and it was at the beginning, James Wiseman definitely. But LaMelo by now, he's just been playing so well. He's eclipsed most of the younger players in the league. I think he's playing better than Zion.
That's okay. I don't know about that, man. That
He's
might be
playing better than Zion.
No, because Zion.
I mean,
no. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people, and again, I don't know if do you watch Hornets games?
I watch LaMelo Ball play. So
Okay. So you and me
here and
both
there.
can agree that he has a big turnover problem, correct?
Yes, he does.
Okay. That's something that the highlights won't show.
Right, absolutely.
And even so, you know, like you got like I said, you got to watch the games. A lot of people don't watch the games. I'm just saying that there are inconsistencies, even though he has gotten better. And sure, as a scorer, he right now in the last 5 games has been really upping his level. Okay, right now, I still give it to Wiseman just because, I have to watch the games, and I have watched some of the games. And for what I've seen, yeah, he has all these flashy moves, right? He can score the ball, but by and large, man, when I watch him, it's not refined basketball yet, I feel like.
Yeah,
And I'm not
he's
expecting him to
inconsistent.
be, yeah, he's inconsistent, but I'm not expecting him to be this consistent guy because he just got into the league. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that there's guys that are gonna struggle a little bit, and again, yeah, he's fun to watch, and he's definitely finding his footing, but there are just too many inconsistencies for me. Not even too many, but just the eye test is like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's what I'm looking at is kind of sloppy basketball at times.
Yeah, it's definitely rookie basketball. He's definitely a little bit sloppy here and there. The only reason I'd make a hot take, like saying that he's better than Zion, because obviously Zion's game is more refined at this point. I think obviously you put them head to head. I think Zion outperforms Lamelo Ball, unless it's a good day from Lamelo Ball. But what you have to remember is that Lamelo Ball, not only has he gotten better, like he has, but every rookie's gotten better so far. But Lamelo Ball's game has just gotten so multi-dimensional. You know what I'm saying? Like Zion, where was his improvement since last year was like he probably turns the ball over less, but he's still only doing the stuff he did, which is great on fast breaks, great around the bucket. He had like one game where he dropped a couple of threes. James Wiseman hasn't had the opportunities to really shine as much as the other rookies just because he's on the Warriors, and Steph Curry has been actually going insane, going crazy. I think James Wiseman, his ceiling is so high. However, when you're on a team like that, you're just not going to have the camera on you, and no one expects you to have the camera on you. However, LaMelo Ball has had the camera on him, and he's been performing. He's not only been scoring. He's not just a guy that you throw around the bucket. He's not only doing the same thing every time. He's going down. He's scoring. He's passing. He's facilitating. His court vision he's come out and he proved that he has it. He's been a leader on the court in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Not just forget about the highlights. It's just you can see that his game it's maturing, and he's not focused on one thing. You don't know what LaMelo Ball is going to do when he comes down the court. However, I can tell you that I know what Zion Williamson is going to do every time he comes down the court.
Yeah. Well, so the argument you're making is that Zion is far more refined and consistent than LaMelo, but LaMelo, you'd say, has a much wider skill set. Is that what you're getting at? I just want to make sure I have you correct.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Is that he's playing like a more, not mature, but he's playing like he does more. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that argument.
His job title has more on his. Wears more hats than Zion. He wears more hats than James Wiseman.
He wears more hats, but also if you could wear more hats and you can develop in those areas, but I think purely based off of the type of year that Zion is having. And I'm not talking about James Wiseman. I'm talking about, now I'm talking about Zion. I think just purely the year that Zion is having, he's been going off.
Yeah, he's been having a great year.
The media hasn't been covering it. I don't care if you wear more hats than a guy, right? Like, I can make a three. We played the other day, I can make the odd out three. I can take it to the rack sometimes. My defense is okay. But you whooped me 5-0 because you're just better at basketball than I am.
7-0.
You know what I'm saying? 7-0. There you go. I won the first game, though. I will say
you did. You did win the first game.
But you're better at basketball than I am. So it doesn't matter if I have a multi-dimensional game if I don't have, or if I have the inconsistencies, because I was turning over the ball like a motherfucker. You remember that game?
Yeah.
I was turning the ball over, same as So sure, I get the odd out. Like I think I hit like I step back with the power dribble, and then but if you look at the entire game, I wouldn't be satisfied with the way I played. And I am equating myself to an NBA player. I did just do that. But it's to illustrate a point. I think you can wear many hats, but if you're not as consistent as a guy like Zion is, and you haven't shown the growth that Zion has, it's his first year in the league. But let's not forget the fact that Zion came back off of injury last year. So this is almost his kind of official first year. I think Zion still gets that, man.
Yeah. Well,
and he's super, like, he takes it to the rim all the time. He dunks, but he does that better than I think LaMelo does a lot of stuff. Does that make any sense?
That does make sense, and I agree with you, and I respect your opinion. I think that you're 100% correct about everything you're saying. However, I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah, what's up?
You are a opposing coach, and you are about to play the Pelicans, and your team comes to you and says, "How do we stop Zion?" Do you think you'd be able to give them an answer?
Yes.
Okay, now you're about to play the Hornets, and your team comes to you and says, "How do we stop LaMelo?" Is that an easier answer, or is it a harder answer than the Zion?
If I were to try to scheme out LaMelo,
Yeah.
I feel like
if your job was to stop LaMelo Ball, would that be easier or harder than coming up with a scheme to stop Zion?
I think it would be a little bit easier. And I understand where you're coming from, but just hear me out for a second. LaMelo, he can take step backs. He has all these flashy moves, so it's going to be harder for you to defend him. But in the way that he plays, if you can, let's just say, take one side of the court away from him, right? Or you can get a really good guy on him, I still think you can lock down LaMelo better than you could lock down Zion. And it goes back to what I was saying. Like LaMelo, you might have to put a little bit more thought into how you're going to defend him, or how many guys you're going to put, or what defensive system you're going to put around him to make sure he does. But at the end of the day, it might be a longer conversation, but I still think you can figure out a better way than Zion. Just specifically, because also Zion is a physical freak.
Yeah.
Not sure there's many, you could put like Kawhi on Zion. You could lock him up. You put Kawhi, so I think it's the same. I don't want to say it's the same formula. Like, obviously you can't lock them up the same, but it's the same conversation. I think just with LaMelo, it might take a little bit longer. Yeah. But I don't think that necessarily attributes. I just think like it goes, but like I said, it's you're going to have a tougher time because LaMelo does a lot more stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to do that consistently in the same way Zion does. Like, guys have been trying to scheme out Giannis. Right. Because Giannis doesn't have a 3 or a mid-range. It's still tough for people to do that because he's Giannis and he's just, on a different level. Absolutely. Now, Zion, he's not Giannis yet, but he's been showing a lot of improvement. That's all I'm saying. Does that make any sense? I feel like
it does make sense. Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. And I definitely think that Zion's more of a LeBron James type, while I think that LaMelo is probably more of like a I don't want to say Magic Johnson, but kind of more in that direction where he's kind of, I feel like he's just going to go, he's going to go grab those rebounds. You know what I'm saying? They're almost the same height, low key. Zion's definitely got a few inches on him, but.
Well, I also, you're talking about LaMelo, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think LaMelo, he's definitely, so I just hated on LaMelo for about 15 minutes. I'm going to heap some praise on him. I definitely think, in terms of being an overall well-rounded player, he's terrific. Right. He can do it all. He can get rebounds, assists. He can score. He has the potential to be an X factor. I don't think he's there yet, but I do agree with you. He does have a very similar kind of skill set, and it's fun to watch. I'll tell you that, man. Him and Bridges, and also we could bridge that conversation over into the commentators too. Because my pick for the best commentators of the year has to go to the Hornets for sure. Definitely. For sure. And it's always a play between LaMelo and Bridges that get the Hornets commentators the most exciting. It's just so funny to watch. There's been 4 to 5 instances in the last, it must have been maybe 3 weeks, where you just watch them on a play and the commentators just start screaming. It's great. And also I love the Bulls commentators too, because I don't know if you saw the guy in the Bulls jersey. Yeah. And they started roasting him. Yeah, they started roasting him and they called him NyQuil Jordan. That was hilarious. So if I had to give my picks for the best commentators this year, I mean, they really stepped their stuff up. In past years, I'll kind of tune the commentators out and pay more attention to the game. And this year, it's weirdly enough, I kind of find myself tuning more into what those guys are saying, just because it's more interesting. They get their jokes off, and they're just they're more fun to listen to, in my opinion. Yeah, no, I agree with you. My favorite commentator thing from the Hornets is not even a LaMelo highlight. It's
who was it that doesn't shoot threes that
Oh,
decided to take a
Bismack
three
Boyumbo,
and
yeah.
yeah, he was like, oh my God, you got to
He
play it.
didn't.
I can't even do it. You got to
Okay,
play it.
yeah, I'll play it. I'll
But
play it.
that
Oh my
had me,
goodness.
yeah, that oh yeah, he said, oh my goodness, that had me rolling. That was the funniest thing for me by far. But that is a good point you make, is that, for a long time, the only commentator that people could really, talk about
Like
was,
Mike Breen.
yeah, the bang, bang, which
Yeah.
is legendary. It's going to go down in basketball history easily as just how hyping, that will get someone. But over the last 3 years, I mean, I think the commentators have become more dimensional too, saying that they'll make comments about different things, and they'll make more hot takes while they're commentating.
Yeah.
And, not only that is they like being humorous. I think what really comes down to it, I'm not saying, I don't really know much about commentators, don't get me wrong, but I feel like a lot of commentators, I feel like this year they're making it a point that the commentators should be friends. Just like me, the success of our
That's what I'm saying.
chemistry
It's
would
almost
come
like I'm
from,
listening to
yeah,
one of our episodes when I watch the commentators.
yeah, is the fact that me and you are friends, and that's the pull towards, what we do, and the fact that we love listening to commentators because it's clear that they like each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They bounce off each other
There's a
well. It's more of a
chemistry.
conversation.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier to listen to, man.
Yeah,
You know,
I like that. I like that. And it's good that you noticed that, because that's an eye for content.
it's an eye for content. I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's definitely, that's for tomorrow's, or that's for Friday's episode. I feel like we're going to start saying it a lot more, but I feel like I've definitely developed more of an eye for content, and, in just in every sense of the word. It's just,
Yeah,
it's kind of
definitely.
like, whatever you're passionate about and whatever you listen back to, and you're like, it's almost like you got to put yourself in the mind of a listener. That's
Yeah,
what usually
absolutely.
works for me. But again, I'm still developing that. Did you want me to play the Bismack Boyumbo clip? Because I have that
I
ready.
I did. I wanted you to just put the video up when it comes to that point in the clip,
Okay,
but I did. But go ahead, play it, because it's
go
gonna
play
make
it.
me, yeah.
I'll sync it up in post.
Oh my goodness!
I heard it. I heard it. I heard it.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
Like they're just gonna
when that
hype off of
happened,
nothing.
I actually started crying. Like, I actually started crying. That was actually hilarious. But
They're really pressed. They are
yeah,
really pressed, those Hornets commentators. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
no, yeah, 100%. And just the fact that he completely missed the basket, and then no one said anything after that. That was it. But yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a good thing that you pointed out, that the commentators definitely have been getting better, and I think that there's a lot of reasons for that. Did you want to also? I think it'd be good to mention. Speaking of commentators, Klay Thompson kind of went on that
Destroyed Rodney Mcgruder post game.
yeah, it was. I have a little bit to say about that, but I kind of want to know what you have to say about it first.
I thought it was disrespectful. I thought there was no place for that. The negativity there, like Rodney Mcgruder was sure. I mean, listen, Rodney, he went out of his way to talk. I'm trying not to curse as much on Mike. He went out of his way to talk mess to one of the Golden State Warriors.
Talk badly.
And it's not, of course, you never want to see that, but it's a competitive sport. Guys are gonna do that. They have their beefs on the court, on the field, whatever. Like we saw Tyrann Matthews going after Tom Brady last night. Tom Brady, said something back, but after the game, Tyrann Matthews said, "It is what it is. I had no idea that he was like that, but it's fine." It gets settled after the game. What Klay did, impartial, sitting in the commentary booth, was destructive. To talk about another man like that, like, sure, if you don't agree with something that someone said, you could say, "Hey, that's one of my guys. I really don't respect that Rodney Mcgruder said that." Right? Like, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's a good thing to do. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
he could have even said, "My respect for Rodney Mcgruder is just like gone down now."
Right.
But instead, when you go and you attack another man's career, there's a certain standard. I think even for a guy like Klay Thompson, because like Klay Thompson's a good guy.
Yeah.
I find myself rooting for Klay because I know that he's obviously a super talented shooting guard, but also just a really, really good guy.
Right.
This, for me, it was like, wow. And even the commentators, I don't know if you heard, they were like, easy, easy, easy.
Yeah.
Because even they understood that it was got to the point where it's like, all right, it's over. It's done with. Rodney Mcgruder walked away. He had words with him, but that disrespect to me was just on another level.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you have a good point of view. I also would say that it's like, Klay Thompson definitely stooped down to a level that as a commentator, you genuinely try to stay above. And they like having Klay Thompson in the booth for a number of reasons. Like you said, he's a good guy. He's funny. He's talented as far as speaking goes. He's definitely an intelligent person. And he's been injured for the last 2 years, so he might as well do something. If he can't contribute on the court, maybe contribute up in the booth. And I definitely like when he's involved in basketball. But for him to, what was his exact words? And he say like,
he'll be out of the league soon. I don't know
yeah,
why he's talking like he's a good player.
Yeah, some crazy like that. Like it was very disrespectful. Klay Thompson's known to talk badly about, like remember when they were in the finals with LeBron and he said that LeBron was like in his feelings about something, or LeBron was crying about something. He said Klay Thompson's known for taking low blows, especially post game. So the fact that that he would be up in a commentator's booth, which is usually it's the bridge between the players and the viewers, for him to stoop down to the level like he was a player, like he was going to go say that to him after the game on the court. I definitely think it was disrespectful. I definitely think that there's no room for that. And that might actually hurt his stock for like a post NBA commentator position. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Well, you're making a mockery of the commentary position, right? Because they invited you into that booth, like you said. It's the bridge between the players and the people watching at home, and they invited him in off good faith because he is perceived to be a good guy. And sure, on the court, I feel like that would be a different story. If he had said that on the court, it's like, okay, it's in the heat of the moment. But what makes it so kind of foul for me, like flagrant 2 on the play, what makes it so foul for me is that he was not on the court. He was not actively in the fire of the game.
Right.
He went out of his way to go and attack a guy. And you're 100% correct. Like guys now I'm not sure which broadcasting company was airing the game at the time, but they're going to go back and be like, well, why do we want Klay drumming up drama, or disparaging other players on our platform? That's going to rub off on us negatively. That's going to have an effect moving forward on the way that people view us, him. It's just, you got to look at all sides of it. And it's not a good look for anyone involved. For as much as it might be true, it's just, you can't stoop down to that level.
Yeah. If he were to say something like, oh, Mcgruder was totally wrong in that position, he had no, that'd be different if he was actually referring to the altercation that occurred, or if he was even in the heat of the moment, if he was on the court and he was like adrenaline, testosterone, and then he said it, it'd be different. But to stoop down and talk about a guy's career, what I'm saying, and just to, say you don't even have to worry about him because he's not even going to be here. What I'm saying? It's different to say that someone was wrong about doing something. It's different to say that someone's shouldn't have a voice because of how irrelevant they are. It doesn't that go against everything that the NBA stands for? Isn't that go against the strides that the NBA has made in the last in the last 10 years? You know what I'm saying? So for him to just, have someone, and I hear a lot of people arguing the fact that it's like, Shaq talks bad about players all the time, what I'm saying, which he does. He had that little Rudy Gobert scuffle, and then I think he said something bad to Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell. I don't know, he just has something against he just has something against the Jazz, I guess. But if you notice, people don't like it when Shaq do that though. It's like people see that and it's like, really, a guy of your stature is really gonna.
It's in poor taste,
yeah. It's different if you're trying to motivate the guy, but for you to just like disrespect someone just because, it's like people don't like it when Shaq does that. And I personally didn't like it when Klay did it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. It was just, it brought me back to like high school.
Yeah.
I've heard captains on teams say that about other guys. And it's like, it's almost like they're abused because Klay is as I'll say again, one of the top talents in the league.
Absolutely.
At the shooting guard position, you always have to put him in that conversation. And it almost, let me know if you agree with this. It's almost like if another guy at Rodney Mcgruder's level, say Tyler Johnson, had said that, it would almost be less flagrant. But because Klay
Yeah.
said that, and because he's such a prolific figure, as you said, and he's in that position in the commentary booth, it's not a good look. It just isn't. Either way you slice it, it's not.
But I mean, it's also something that you're kind of inviting by having former NBA players or current NBA players up in the booth. Like I'm sure, Paul Pierce had that Celtics bias, which is fine, you know what I'm saying? But when you're having players or former players or active players, current players, whatever, when you're having players in there, they're going to be biased because that was their life. You know what I'm saying? To us, it's
right.
Drama. It's TV. It's reality TV. That's really what the NBA is. But for them, it's like they lived it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the direction that they're moving. And I just hope that there are some standards set, because I hope that Klay didn't set a standard that's okay to do that. I don't think he did, because I think he faced a little bit of backlash for that. So I think that in the future, a little slap on the wrist, I think that we'll learn from that and we'll move on and be better.
So the NBA is a tight-knit community. I think nobody's going to let that fly. The really good thing I like about obviously like this thing that we all share, the players, the media, even I don't want to say the fans, because the fans are pretty toxic. So is the media. But I'd like to think that the players hold themselves.
So just never mind. Take
the fans out of it. Take the fans out of it. Maybe even the media. I think the players should hold each other to a higher standard. And I think guys, obviously like Chris Paul, who's he's the president of the NBA PA, guys like that should be just making sure everyone is together on just the mission, right?
Yeah.
It's not a good look on a lot of levels. And then Draymond Green also attacked him, but Draymond Green's just one of those guys where if you go after one of his guys, he's going to go after you. I hold that less. I hold that of less importance because, that's just, we know Draymond Green to be that guy. And like I said, part of the reason why I was so surprised is because I didn't know Klay was that guy. He said snippy comments before, but that was almost like, wow. It's almost like when you're in a roasting session.
It's surprising.
You're in a roasting session with your friends and you jokingly make a shot at someone and that's like, oh, and then they return with some absolute, oh, that's why your father isn't in your life, and everyone kind of just gets quiet. And it's like, I thought we were having fun, you know what I'm saying? So
and Draymond Green was on the floor though. He was there. He was playing in the game. He had his adrenaline going,
Yeah, that's Draymond. Draymond, he's a fiery guy. Very fiery. Yeah. So I give Draymond a pass, but Klay, come on, man. Come on.
Come on, man. What are you doing?
Man.
Come on, dude. Chill out, dog.
All right. To round out the episode, you want to talk about this NBA reffing? Because I remember we were talking pre-production. You said you really had a gripe, and honestly, I mean, the reffing this year has been nothing short of atrocious. Really soft, bad call. Like the closest one I remember personally was Harden getting a tech for rolling the ball or dropping the ball and having it roll towards. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say a few quick things about it just to wrap up the episode. Is just like, there's always this narrative that the NBA was tougher in the 90s, right? And I think that is true. And I think that most of that comes from the reffing. I think just the idea of reffing has changed. I'm saying they're trying to bring something different to the table every year, and it continuously goes in one direction. However, it's just like, they're getting like really tough on the players. Like Harden dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like you part of being in a sport is being intense, being there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not saying that it's good to, you shouldn't promote, you shouldn't let people get away with like pushing, and like they shouldn't be cursing at each other and trying to fight each other. Like, but like, are you really going to punish players for being intense? Are you going to punish players for being in the game? You know what I'm saying? That's how guys have made their careers for 40, 50 years sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, go back to the 60s, 70s. You got people punching each other in the face. That's not right. Don't get me wrong. But it was that intensity, that drive. That's what people liked about those eras, right? And you're just taking away an entire dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Some of the best clips ever in basketball, some of the best highlights ever come from players being intense, You know what I'm saying? Like you think about when LeBron had that dunk on Scary Terry and he like looks over him and he stares him down. He got a tech for it, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe, you know, I understand it. You know, he is taunting a little bit.
He
but
did
like,
just put Terry on a poster and ruined his entire career.
yeah, it's that. And it's also just like by making text come easier, you're deterring players from being
Being
intense.
intense. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'd rather them stare them down and get a tech than to not stare them down ever because they're scared of getting a tech. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you call such little things, it's just that tech and techs just fly out. They mean less. You know what I'm saying? So
if Kelly Oubre gets a tech for blowing a kiss at someone, that's when you know it's like,
yeah,
what are we really doing here? What are we doing here as an association where I completely agree with you, Nigel. You couldn't have said it any better. It's taking an entire dynamic out of the game. Especially couple that with the fact that we're transitioning into more small ball 3-pointers. So there's less contact in general. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of phasing towards that. You wonder what type of NBA we're going to see in the future if this continues with the reffing. It's weird, man. It's almost, and I love what you said, because I'll watch old NBA fight compilations sometimes, and you'll see a guy get hacked going up for a layup, and then they're squaring up on the court, and it's so funny to watch. But it's just the way it was, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's the way it was the nature. It was the dogs of the game.
For real.
Think of guys like KG.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, if KG was doing the same thing now, you might imagine how many texts he'd get.
He wouldn't even be in the league. They'd kick him out of the league, man.
They'd fine him. Yeah, they'd fine him so much money that he'd have to take the bus to practice. I'm telling you, man, it's a different game. I don't think also like the staring, getting attacked, sometimes that can be a little bit overkill. But if a guy, like I said, is blowing a kiss at someone or dropping a ball after, by the way, you made a terrible call and he's not protesting it, he's just dropping the ball. You know, there's some refs at some points that I'm sure have been their choices have been dictated by their egos.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
A lot of refs hear it, and then they're already at that point where they're kind of teetering on giving the player a tech, and the player says something to them, and it's like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Tech. Yeah. There's gotta be a better way that we can handle NBA reffing. And I actually, you know what? The new insurgence of women in the reffing positions. I hope the women honestly can really let the game breathe. You know?
Yeah. I agree. To get new people into it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
maybe get some more get a different direction. I understand what you're saying, and I 100% agree.
Yeah, dude. Like in women's sports, like think about women's soccer. They don't flop. If they get a crunching tackle, if they don't get the call, they get back right up. You know, they get right back up. In women's MMA, those are some of the women's matches are the more, you know, brutal and gruesome that I've personally seen. Women's boxing, the same thing. You know, and I mean, you know, obviously if a woman is very good at her job and she's qualified, you know, great. But I want to see what they can do, man. Because honestly, it's just a breath of fresh air. And I think something needs to change, whether it be for the sake of gender equality and getting a new, you know, perspective in there, or just be giving the refs some extra lessons on not having such a big trigger finger with their whistles.
I agree.
Something's got to change. I don't know.
I agree 100%.
All right. Is that we'll get into more of what we wanted to get into. It's great, man. We have these 2 episodes a week, so we can push the stuff that we didn't get to today onto the next episode. But without further ado, I've been your host, Jacob Cooperman.
Thank you. I've been Nigel Petty Fernandez. Thank you.
What do you say? The second in command by popular demand?
Second in command by popular demand.
That's a crazy bar. I'm never gonna get past
that.
But you know, we'll see you guys.
I pulled it out of nowhere.
You did. Did you get that from someone? You just freestyled?
No, I got to be honest with you. One night, because you know I don't sleep. One night I was in bed trying to go to sleep, and I was like just thinking about like stuff that I could say, you know, and I was just like what would be like a fire intro. And like Host with the Most is a classic. You know, we could switch it up, make something more original if we wanted to, but Host with the Most is a classic. And I was like, but what do people say for like the co-star? Well, not really co-star, but like, you know, the other guy in the room, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, we're gonna put some magic in that. and we do something with that.
That is just a 12 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Yeah,
thought process.
yeah,
You're just sitting there awake, like,
yeah, literally.
Words I can craft up from nothing. Just like that's
just watching the ceiling
early,
fan.
Yeah. I'm not falling asleep anytime soon, so I better get crafting.
Yeah, I know. That's where my best thoughts come from. But anyway, without further ado.
Yeah, without further ado, guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. We'll be back on Friday, but you guys will see it on Saturday. We should be back in the booth by then, as I said. Blow us up, like, subscribe if you enjoyed, leave us a rating on Apple, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. Social media will be down below. And yeah, man, we're happy to be continuing on this journey. I think the 2 episodes a week thing is thus far worked out. I have to see again how it goes tonight, but it's feeling good, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coop. Thank you, everyone watching. See you next time.
See you next time.